Hi, my name's Ian Goodwin from Agriculture Victoria. We're at the Jura Smart Farm today within the Narrow Orchard Systems experimental block. I'm with Luca Corelli-Grapidelli from University of Bologna.
Hi Ian, nice to be here.
So we're in the cherries as part of the Narrow Orchard Systems experiment and looking at one of the trees where we laid down cordons last winter. There's a video on laying down those cordons and some of the bud selections that we did. And so now we're in middle of February looking at the vertical shoot growth.
Yeah, it looks real nice, Ian. You have them evenly spaced and fairly even. More or less all of them have set terminals, except for this guy here. Well, do you think that'll pose you a problem, or how would you handle this lateral growth and more vigor as you have on this shoot?
Yeah, so these laterals, you can either snap them off or cut them with some secateurs, right? Just to create that single vertical shoot to keep it growing. And I'd like to see these ones that are terminated here doing exactly the same, but they haven't. And overall, I mean, this is a very vigorous vertical leader coming off close to the trunk, so it's more vigorous than all the rest. So I don't really like it
right
in itself.
Yep.
We could cut it back and get another shoot to come up just to slow the vigor in this middle one here.
Like you could choose one of the two laterals over there?
Yeah, there's one down here, for example, so you could cut it there and that'd be your replacement. But yeah, it's probably the time of year to try to do that.
You reckon there's still time left for it to regrow and catch up with the others?
Well, if it doesn't grow to catch up with the others this year, it definitely
will next year.
Yeah.
The good thing would be that these have set terminals, so they probably aren't going to go anywhere else, but they might be still growing. By the looks of it, there's vigor in there. Yep. So they should catch up. All right, so we're looking at this tree, and this guy was laid down recently because this is this year's growth, but it's showing already some good lateral growth, and you've got good growth over there. Can you lay out your plan for the training for the remaining of the summer?
Yeah, sure. So on this side here, we've got a lot of really good, laterals that are come out of that cordon, which we will try to select them as our vertical leaders and space them out. I would be cutting back these ones close to the trunk, right? Even ripping out, some of these. That's too low. But yeah, just to try to reduce the vigor in these ones close to the trunk. But they're out here. Select the ones that are appropriate to clip up.
You definitely want uniformity in the size of the ones that you choose.
Yeah, to a certain extent. I'm more worried about any vertical leaders that are coming out close to the trunk they might look the same now, but they're the ones that will outcompete the rest. Like what we're seeing over here. There's a lot of strong vertical leaders coming out of here, and there's as yet not much come out of there. So over this side,
something's starting to happen, but it's too soon.
Yeah. I'd probably be removing the ones that are going the wrong direction, but and that you don't want that as well. But then this one remaining, and that one I'd probably just take him back to a stub, right? And this one here would be the same. You might take it back to a stub. So this is the nectarines in the Narrow Orchard Systems experiment. We've got only 4 litres per tree. In other words, each vertical leader's spaced at 50 centimetres apart, and there's a bit of a variation here in each one of those vertical leaders. So Luca, maybe some comments on what we might do with each one of these vertical leaders?
Yeah, and I think this tree is a perfect example of how shoots will develop through the season. So this guy here is obviously coming from behind because there was a stub there, but you still have a fairly vertical growth, no laterals, some beginning to emerge. Move on 2 weeks, you get into this situation. This is still not problematic because there is distance between the lateral tips and the apical tips. Here's another couple of weeks further down the line, and the competition is getting closer to the top of the branch, which is what you want to keep growing. And you have to be on your toes now, maybe removing them or stubbing them. Definitely you want to stub them before you get to this situation, because here 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all at the same height, and this means the central leader is losing power of controlling, and these guys are taking over. So my suggestion,
so if we just
absolutely,
cut these back,
exactly, and maybe that guy there too.
yeah,
Right.
And then on this tree, I'd actually,
I would say that's a wise move. You don't really want much else for now because you want to create the canopy. If they regrow, there'll be time in the winter to look at the situation and decide whether you can hang a crop next year or not.
yep, great.
Okay, Ian, so here we're on the plums, varieties Angelino, and the uprights are placed at about 25 centimeters spacing. There is in general good growth, but there are situations that require a bit of attention, like the tree we're looking at. Can you give me some comments on that?
Yeah, so already someone's been through and done some big cuts, removing some pretty thick vertical leaders that have come out there and trying to space them out, which is great. I think that's quite good. That one's
it will go.
Yeah,
it will go.
The concern is this vertical leader here, and so Lucas,
All right.
I'm sort of half thinking we need to cut it out. What's your opinion?
Either cut him out or come back to something. I don't think you need to be extremely geometrically correct, so go with the opportunities. To me, this is too vigorous and the top is already heavy, but taking it all out, it might suffer from competition, so I'd probably give it a go over there and see how it does. And hopefully this will give you a nice regrowth and fix him.
Now we're in the apples in the Narrow Orchard Systems experiment. This is Pink Eve. It's on M9 rootstock. We found it's not nearly as vigorous as a lot of other apple cultivars we've worked with. We weren't able to pull down all of the cordons ideally during winter. So in front of me, Luca, you might have a couple of suggestions to make with this tree.
Well, first suggestion I have, this is normal in the orchard, so we don't need to be too concerned with the beauty of the tree. The important concern is the spacing between the uprights, because that dictates light interception. But other than that, I think there's freedom to choose and perhaps bring back or forward some of the laterals. So this guy here, Ian, I think needs to come down first of all.
Right down, or just to this one?
Seems to me a bit too tight here, and you might have a regrowth like crazy. So I'd be happy for this one to just come here, and then we may have to select. So this looks like a good candidate. I'll keep him.
So I'll cut that.
Right, and we have to decide which ones will look better here, and these two seem to be already a bit too vigorous to me. So yeah, I would do that. There you go. And this is our natural candidate, and in a few weeks it could be tied up with this and give us a nice upright here.
Yeah, and so these other verticals, we could actually keep this wire.
Bring them back, yes, and it's already in place.
And do this so that these are spaced at 25 centimetres apart, each one of these vertical leaders in the apples. And this last one even, we could probably put this around here. And I'd actually probably put a clip down lower here to just
keep it. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. It's a good idea. Would you keep the laterals, or you?
I'd probably, yeah.
There is a debate on that.
They're actively growing, like you could stub it back, but this here is quite nice.
We've kept them back in Bologna.
I'd probably stub that because it's actively growing.
Right.
Leave the rest there.